Hello, second grade friends. Welcome to Number Corner. For Number Corner today, we are going to be looking at our calendar grid and solving a few more story problems that go with the markers. Today, you will need your whiteboard, marker, and eraser. If you don't have a whiteboard, remember, a piece of paper and a pencil will work just fine. You can pause the video now to get what you need. Okay, before we start to work on our story problems for today, I want to have a look at our calendar grid observations and think about some of the things you shared that you had noticed. The last time we worked on our story problems, I asked you to share some observations that you made about our story problem equations. Now I want to share some of the things you were thinking. Some students noticed that if we look at all of our problems, we can kind of see the numbers in different columns. In our first column, we can see that we're really counting up from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We get to 8 in our first column. Well, if we look at our next column, the numbers kind of in the middle, you also noticed that we're going by tens. We're counting 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. But something a little different happens in our final column. We're counting by a different number. Does anybody know what number we're counting by? Now, if you're thinking, well, kind of looks like we're counting by 10, but plus one more. That's really good thinking. We can look at 11 here, and if we count by tens, we'd be at 21, but if we add one more, we're at 22. So we're actually counting by 11, all the way down, because we're going up by 10, and then just one more 1. Another thing that we noticed is that our missing numbers are changing spots. We have our missing part is at the end in our first equation for the 1st of February. But on the 2nd of February, it's in the middle. And then on the 3rd, it's at the beginning, the start of the equation. And that pattern starts to repeat. Let's get started solving some problems today to see if that pattern will continue. And any other things we noticed. Let's see if they'll continue too. Now remember, when we solve our story problems, there is a story problem to go with each flag of the month. We are going to work on the story problems just from the last several days. We'll be working on the problems from the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th day of February, looking at the flags from China, the Philippines, Uganda, and Romania. I will read the story problems 2 times. The second time, I would like you to write down an equation on your whiteboard. And then we'll look again at any patterns we might notice at the end of this lesson. Let's get started right away with our flag from China. Listen to the problem. Think about the missing part. Some people went to China and saw 90 people walking on the Great Wall of China. There were 99 people in all. How many people went to China? Now, as you listen to me read this problem for the second time, you can start to write your equation. Remember to put a box where the missing part of the problem is, where the answer should be. Some people went to China and saw 90 people walking on the Great Wall of China. There were 99 people in all. How many people went to China? Show a connection if your equation looked like this. Some people went to China 90 people were walking on the Great Wall. There were 99 people in all. That's what you wrote. Good thinking. Our missing part is at the start of the equation. What number should go in the box? If you were thinking the number 9, give yourself a pat on the back. You may have solved that problem in several ways. You may have known that you needed to add something to 90 to get 99. Well, we can see we already have 90. That's all of our tens. We look at the ones in 99 and we add them together. And we know the answer is 99. We can separate our tens and ones to solve this problem. You could have solved it in a different way, too. Let's have a look at our next problem. Here's our first read. 10 people went to the Philippines and saw 100 ducks in Greenbelt Park. How many people and ducks in all? Listen again and write your equation. 10 people went to the Philippines and saw 100 ducks in Greenbelt Park. How many people and ducks in all? Remember to use a box for the missing part. Show a connection if your equation looked like this. We have 10 people. We know there are 100 ducks. We want to know how many people and ducks in all. Now let's solve this equation. What's 10 plus 100? Now you may have solved this one in your head to know that answer is 110. We're adding our hundreds and our tens together to have 110. Let's look at our next equation or story problem. Listen on the first read. 11 people went to Uganda and saw some tree-climbing lions in Queen Elizabeth National Park. There were 121 people and lions in all. How many lions? You can write your equation as I read this the second time, using a box for your missing part. 11 people went to Uganda and saw some tree-climbing lions in Queen Elizabeth National Park. There were 121 people and lions in all. How many lions? Write your equation. Show a connection if you wrote an equation that looks like this. There are 11 people who went to Uganda. They saw some tree-climbing lions. There were 121 people and lions in all. How many lions? That number should go right here. How can we solve this problem? You may be thinking of a few different strategies. I'm going to use an open number line. I want you to use any strategy that you would like to use. Now I'm going to use my open number line by starting at 121. And I'm going to jump backwards. It's a little different, but I'm going to jump backwards by 11 and see where I land. If I start at 121 and I jump backwards 1, well, I'm at 120. And now I know I need to jump backwards 10 more, because 10 plus 1 equals 11. And if I jump back from 120 by 10, I land on 110. I know that there are 110 tree climbing lions. Show a connection if your answer was 110 also. Good thinking. Let's work on our last story problem for today. Some people went to Romania and saw 120 castles. There were 132 people and castles in all. How many people went to Romania? Think about your equation as I read it for the second time. Some people went to Romania and saw 120 castles. There were 132 people and castles in all. How many people went to Romania? Write your equations. Show a connection if your equation looked like this. Some people went to Romania. They saw 120 castles. There were 132 people and castles in all. How many people went to Romania? Good thinking. Now I want you to use a strategy to solve this problem. Show a connection if you answered that 12 people went to Romania. Let's check our answer. Now I want to find the difference between 120 and 132 because that's the number I'm adding to 120 to get to 132. Now I can draw an open number line to do that. You may have used a different strategy. If I start at 120 and I want to land on 132, well, I know right away I can make a big jump of 10 and land on 130. Well, and then I'm only 2 away from 132. 10 plus 2 equals 12. Good work on your story problems and equations. Let's jump to our calendar grid observation chart and see if there's any more patterns we notice today. Now think about some of the patterns we've already talked about. Did any of those patterns continue? Are you noticing any new patterns? Take a moment to think. And in Seesaw today, you're going to share your ideas with your teacher. Good work, second grade friends. I'll see you next time for Number Corner.